Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're on.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Sunday Service. I'm Supertanskiii, and I'm joined tonight by Graham Danger Hughes of Politics Social, as we try to make sense of what has been an absolute show of a week. If you are in Labour, if you're a Labour voter, or if you've woken up confused thinking, hang on a minute, I voted for Labour and now I've got Nigel Farage in a red tie. What the hell is going on? So it started off this week with Starmer having an absolute mare of a speech. What were your thoughts on that, Graham?
Well, a mare of a speech is when you're talking and the letters start falling off behind you. He got up and he just started sounding like he started channeling his inner Enoch Powell. And I was like, where the hell is this coming from? And he's like, oh, the big problem's immigrants coming over here, you know, that's the problem. And I'm like, is a Labour leader really saying this? But it's okay. It's okay, Tan, because, you know, he's doing this to get, like, refuck voters on side, right? Right? Well, the number of Reform voters who are saying they're going to, like, they quite like Starmer has gone down in the last month from 4% to 2%. 2%.
I'm trying not to swear.
Well done, Kia.
I'm trying so hard not to swear in the first 5 minutes, but it's so difficult because I remember after the local elections, we were all sitting there just trying to make sense of what had happened. I think we all knew that Reform were gonna sweep in, but we were all sitting there going, okay, need to change tack now. All right, this isn't working. Right, it's been a bloodbath. You've been wiped out.
Yeah.
We need to change tactics here. And the very first article that I saw of the local elections was old McSweeney, who I'm certain is Tory, wandering in going, oh, we need to really double down on this. I was like, what the fuck?
We need to go further and faster towards the fucking huge the normal huge iceberg that's ahead of us.
Oh my God, man. It is just enraging. I mean, if you're going to give him the benefit of the doubt,
really?
Because a lot of people have.
Oh, okay.
And I've not been happy about it. It's made me nauseated. But people were saying, oh, have you read the speech? Did you listen to it? I was like, yes, I did. But the problem isn't just the language that he used. It was the entire rhetoric around the Labour Party on immigration. It's not Labour. It's yet another Prime Minister dancing to the tune of Nigel Farage.
Yes.
And, oh, look, it worked so well for the Tories, didn't it? I mean, who you have to kind of like look down an abyss to find now on the political landscape. It's an absolute nightmare. And honestly, like, it was just dog whistling and dirty. And
but for who? Who was it for? That's what I just don't understand. Like, is it this tiny number of Reform voters who are going to be like, oh yeah, you're speaking my language, you know, racism.
Well, it's the thing is, I've got the kind of actual stats here. Like, people are going over to the Lib Dems, like 7% going over to the Lib Dems, 6% are going over to the Greens.
This is from Labour, yeah?
Yeah, this is Labour voters who, the people that might or are peeling off from Labour, who voted Labour in 2024. So 5% to Reform when polled in, I think it was March or February. 4% to the Tories, like what? And 17% are don't know, disillusionment. So they're the people that are not kind of going in any particular direction, who are just like probably like a lot of us at the moment, because I don't know how I'd vote if it was like tomorrow. I'd be like probably sick. I'd be sick, but I would probably do the thing that I had to do to keep out Reform, but I wouldn't be, you know. So they're losing an enormous amount of people to disillusionment.
Yes.
Well done.
Yay. Because I am incredibly disillusioned with Labour. Oh, tell you who I'm not disillusioned with though. Yuri, who's just dropped the super chat.
Oh, okay, Yuri.
First super
thank
chat
you.
evening.
Yay, thank you very much. Thank you, £5. Keir Starmer appears to have become Farage's Enoch Powell printed jazz sock. I think you had to. I mean, this is the thing. It just felt on every single level
Jazz
to be
sock.
wrong. Jazz sock. I actually wrote down the word jazz rag for the first time this evening. I was talking about. It's for my next video, and it's. I'm not going to tell you what the punchline is, but
is it a jazz rag? Because that sounds like it's a pornographic periodical.
Yeah, jazz rags are
okay, rather than a jizz rag, which would be something else.
It would, yeah. I mean, the English language, it's so beautiful, isn't it?
It is. It's so many opportunities. It's a world of opportunity.
A world of opportunity.
Well, you need to learn it to the A-level standard if you're going to stay here.
Oh, for Christ's sake. I mean, and again, like the EU, the kind of the thing that he's hashing out at the moment with the EU in terms of like getting kids to go to the EU, that's only really going to apply to kind of like middle class kids, really. I mean, they're the only people that are going to be able to afford it. It's not really going to do much for a kid in Durham or a kid in who's suffering the effects of, you know, Farage's last experiment and the Tory government playing for their tune and is broke with no bus, with no train to get anywhere, just in an absolute mess. So it's just, even the good news that's coming out is just tainted with badness. There's just this horrible kind of like,
yeah, but who's going to bat for Starmer now? Like, is there anyone left out there who's like, oh, he's doing a great job? Because,
no, there are.
I'm in groups here in Durham, like Labour groups, and everyone's just like, what is going on? What is happening here? I don't get it. If I could see what the strategy was, I'd be like, I wouldn't condone it, but I'd just be a bit more, oh yeah, okay, I see what they're trying to do here, stupid bastards. I can't see what the strategy is here, which is mad. Like, I can see where Trump's strategy is with his tariffs. It's quite simply bankrupt America, because that's what he's being told to do by his handlers in the Kremlin. That makes sense to me. That's a simple, you know, he's trying to do this to achieve that. But like, are they trying to lose the next election? Is this like Brewster's Millions, but it's an election? Do you know what I mean?
I mean,
in order to win all this money, Kia, you have to lose the next election, even though you just won the last one by about 200 fucking seats.
More like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, isn't it? Like, like just don't have a clue. Don't have a clue what's going on. I really don't know. I mean, there are a lot of people that think that this is another case of 4D chess. I'm just like, fuck off. Like, just shut up, mate. Shut up. It doesn't matter.
What did they say? They say he's playing the long game.
Oh, we've heard that.
Piss off.
We've heard that. But no, if you're being
4D
generous,
chess.
right? If you're trying to unpick it, a part of it could be that they're trying to kind of like play reform at their own game, get this problem, which is a massive, multifaceted problem, kind of resolved a bit. But the problem with that is reform voters don't respond to facts or reality. So you're in a situation where, yeah, you could sort this out, but they will still find a way to spin it, like with Brexit, you know, where they were like for years and years and years saying, oh, well, they're just doing Brexit wrong. That's why it's a failure.
Yep.
You know, it's that same approach, I think. So
yes, you're right, because it takes it's their identity, isn't it? It's their identity, and if you say that they're wrong about their political beliefs, you're attacking their identity, their sense of self, and you're basically saying, I want you to change the way you are. And people are really, really like defensive when you say stuff like that to them. There's no point in going after the reform voters. They're gone. That's it. They've gone.
No, I mean, on every level.
You know, that's fine. You know, whatever. Don't go for them. Go for the people who were disillusioned. But instead of doing that, they're increasing the number of disillusioned voters.
They could have handled it progressively. They could have handled this in the proper way. I mean, yeah, some people think that there is an argument to be made for immigration. I don't. I think it's hysteria. It's been weaponized and used for years by the right and their mates in the media. Because as we were talking about ROI, right? Yeah. There's a massive ROI for papers to back this bullshit, and because they get breaks from these immoral bastards, don't they? And
they do indeed.
Then you see there's a new tactic too, like Elon Musk and a lot of Farage voters are trying to market like Lowe and Farage and Musk and all of this. They're trying to market like parties like the AFD as centrist now. They're trying to claim they're a centrist party and they don't go far enough. The AFD in Germany,
that actual Nazi party that's been blown up as being a possible terrorism threat to Germany. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we're through the looking glass now. I mean, this is the problem that we've got. Like, it's a massive mess, and they control the rhetoric. They control it all.
Yeah.
So, and look at the outcome, right? He did all of this. He bent over for Farage and all the Reform voters, and then he opened the papers the next day, and the Mail and the Express are just shitting all over Labour, which just goes to prove, right, that the thing that would solve all of this is media regulation and reform, coming down hard on the papers and the owners of the apps and the social media sites, etc. I mean, that's the way forward. And also it would win a bit of respect because it would be actually showing some balls to do that. And the papers are going to rinse you anyway. So what?
Exactly. They're not going to get on side. Today they were going, oh, big Brexit betrayal, because they're trying to make things easier for trade with the rest of our continent. And they're like, oh, it's a Brexit betrayal. We should be trading with the penguins of South Georgia Islands. What are you doing? Why are you doing? And they go, okay, well, we'll get a trade deal then with India. Oh, it's a betrayal. This trade deal it's like, what do you want? Do you want us to have shit trade deals with all the countries around the world? Because that's all we're going to get. Or do you want us to have closer relations with the EU? We don't want anything. We just want to sit here and we want everyone to suffer and die and be miserable all the time. Because they're miserable and they want everyone else to be miserable. The best thing you can do is laugh at these stupid bastards. That's the best thing you can do because they fucking hate it. They don't want to see joy. They don't want to see anyone having a good time.
Well, no, they're all laughing though. They can laugh because they're rich as hell.
I mean, they don't. Have you ever seen them laugh? Have you ever seen
I've seen
J.K.
Farage.
Rowling laugh?
Oh, I've seen Farage. It's terrifying. It looks like
he laughs. He brays, doesn't he? Like, and his mouth just kind of looks like one of those snakes, when they're gonna eat an egg and they just hit the jaw, and it's just like the mouth takes up the whole face. That's what he looks like. Yeah, okay. Apart from braying isn't laughing because it's fake, isn't it? It's like the ho 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 ho.
Oh, I just think of Gullis when I
Gullis. Oh God. The howling monkey.
That. Oh man, I wonder if he's got a job yet.
Do you know if you get too close to howling monkeys, they throw their poo at you?
I thought you were going to say Gullis.
If you get too close to Gullis, he throws his poo at you. He just shits in his hand and chucks it at you.
And then his wife, his poor wife, she's just a defensive motion. Just don't worry about it. Literally a defensive motion. Just move away. Don't make eye contact. Don't make eye contact with him. I've not heard much about him or Brendan Clark Bellend or any of the others, which is why you can see the kind of like the old Tory lot being really opportunistic and going over to reform, because a lot of the people that are kind of reform councillors now were Tory MPs.
Yeah.
But I was interested. I took a glance at that article that you shared in the chat first thing this morning. I don't know if you were discussing it on your
Which one?
Morning show, the one about the kind of like BNP era people infiltrating.
Yeah, that's what I talked about this morning. Like, but
we'll be fine.
We've got some serious breaking news. No, it's not good news either. Joe Biden's been diagnosed with aggressive prostate cancer.
Oh shit, man!
It was diagnosed on Friday. Someone just broke that in the chat. But yeah, I've just looked it up on the BBC website. Fuck.
Well, that's
what would have happened if he had won? If he had ran for president and won?
He was never going to win. I mean, I heard someone the other day talking about how it was Clooney that rang the alarm first. He was one of the first, and the reason he did that was because Biden didn't recognize him at a party, and they'd met a number of times before, and he was like, "We need to do something about this. We need to act on this because it is." Very worrying when a guy that's running for president of the United States doesn't actually know who a celebrity like that is.
There was a lot of cover-up from his people and his family about his the fact that he was getting a bit more dothery and he didn't really remember stuff. And one of the things was like they were saying afterwards that he wasn't really prepared. he wasn't ready to like get the 2 o'clock in the morning phone call. Do you know what I mean? If something really bad happened, he wouldn't have been able to handle it. And it's sad. Like, no one wants to take the keys off their dad because he's fucking, gone demented. But that I think was absolutely criminal of the Democrats to not have a proper primary process, where they get all the different candidates and they all argue their case. And
it's sad, man. I mean, he's quite an old guy. Like, he's in his 80s, isn't he? And that's the time when you normally get things like this happen, unfortunately. But it was really worrying when he introduced Zelensky as Putin. Yes. I mean, that was like, I was just like the scream. I was just like, what the hell?
I did a live stream of his first debate, of his only debate with Trump. And I was just like, make it end, make this stop. It was like absolute torture for me. I mean, not just because he was just like not answering the things properly. He sounded really dothery. It's like he took a really long time to speak. And when you're ADHD, you know, don't you, Tan? Slow talkers, I can't handle. I've got to press the double speed button.
Yeah,
but you can't. There's no double speed button in real life, Tan. It's not like on TikTok. There's no double speed button.
You don't just hold the corner of the thing and he just speeds up. No, it was a real. I mean, what they should have done is prepared for this, like, as soon as he got in, knowing he was going to be a one-term job, I reckon. Yes. Like, you should have got a kind of young, charismatic salesman. Like we've been saying.
Kamala was a pretty good candidate. I mean, she only had a few months to try and do a campaign that should have been running for 3 years. But like, she was nowhere to be seen as vice president. I didn't read a single news story about her or anything. They should have been prepping her from day one as the successor, if that's what they wanted. But it just seemed really amateur. I hate it when you have these really powerful people who are really well paid, and they're just so fucking amateur.
But we have this problem.
Labour.
Yeah. We have this exact same problem at the moment. I mean, I don't know what the Spads are doing. Are they like working the other side, sniffing the pens? Is there a carbon monoxide outbreak?
And that's too charitable. I think they just don't know what they're doing, Tan, and like no one that they don't have the intelligence to realise they don't know what they're doing. And it's scary that they can have so much power and so much influence when we didn't elect them.
I think they're trying to get reform out early doors. That's what I think they're trying to do. They're trying to get, like, quash the rhetoric, but they're not going to. And the thing that worries me is that a lot of reform voters aren't actually making the link between him and Trump either. Yeah. And like the whole Elon network and all of that stuff, which is just another nightmare here. Because if they don't make that link and Trump continues, as we all suspect he's going to, and go fully mental, I mean, I think he's going to end up firing into crowds of protesters at some point. Not personally, no. But it's going to get to that level.
Oh yeah.
And if we haven't got a strong enough link because of how slippery Farage and Reform are, I'm really worried that people aren't going to see the links and the fact that it's basically MAGA UK, although some people are very proud of that, which goes against the fact that a lot of people in Britain, or the notion that a lot of people in Britain don't really like Trump.
Yes.
It's really weird. Like, they'll defend pretty much everything that he does, talking of which people were doing that on the Labour side this week too. And it's like, and people were proper turning on me that have followed me for a long time. And I was like, well, if you think I'm going to sit there and let Labour, the party that I voted for all my life, and voted for in this election, dog whistle far right rhetoric, then you haven't been paying close attention to any of my videos over the last 5 years, because that is one of my red lines, and I didn't expect it from the red team, and it's really sickened me, to be honest with you. I feel really disillusioned myself, and it's extremely hard to make it all funny at the best of times, but especially when it's this bad, but because
the fact that we thought, oh great, the Tories are out finally after 14 horrible years of every day waking up and going, oh God, what now? And then seeing they've just done something horrible, something sadistic, something vicious, just attacking people every single day, attacking this group, attacking that group, and just not being able to govern a country for their fucking back, for toffee. And then we hand it over to Labour, and we're like, oh, good, Labour are in. Would have been nice for the Lib Dems to be the opposition.
Yeah.
And the Tories decimated to 121 MPs. The Tories have got. Labour have got like 180, something like that majority. They've got like a ridiculous majority, and you would expect Labour, or at least Starmer, Brett Wall saying this in the chat, to be bold and go to the left and say, right, okay, we're in. Okay, we're going to change things for the better, and you're going to feel it straight away. And there were some easy wins that they could have done. One of the least things they could have done is continue the cap on bus fares. I can't believe they didn't do that. It's kind of been lost a little bit because we don't really talk about it because obviously there's vested interest in farming or paying VAT on private school fees. But like, this is something where people who notice it every day, every single fucking day. Yep. You're not going to notice having to pay a bit more extra on your inheritance tax because A, you'll be dead, and B, it'll only happen once ever, in your life.
Yeah.
And so but people see how much you have to pay for the bus every day, every single day. And to take that away from people, I'm like, well, why are you doing this? We need to save £1 billion here and £1 billion there. I'm like, just join the fucking EU if you need that money so badly.
There's another way, which is, I don't know, clawing it back from COVID fraud, like you said you were going to. Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty easy way. And the winter fuel allowance was one of their biggest policies that they announced pre-budget.
Yep.
And that there's talk of them U-turning on that now, and they're probably going to have to, which they should have done to begin with because it wasn't thought through. Yeah. Increase the threshold because the threshold is alarmingly low. I think everyone thinks, millionaires shouldn't be getting that, but millionaires aren't people over 11 grand.
Millionaires aren't people, Tan.
No, they're not. No. But we're not going to say. We're not going to say what
we've got a couple of super chats come in though, so
we have. We've got questionable obscenity. Thank you, £5 super chat. We need to stop confusing people who are good at remembering rules they learn from books, Starmer, Harris, etc., with true intelligence. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with reading books, but I don't know if you're not referring to religion there, are you? I don't think you are. But no, I mean, it comes to book learning. I mean, reading is vital, but I don't think that, just taking small key elements of it is a good idea, or that does sound very religiously themed. Anyway, Yuri, £5 super chat. Labour voted since 18, member since 20. Can't support them now.
I've heard a lot of that. Thanks, questionable on Yuri. I feel like Labour are really letting themselves down. I mean, it's that joke, isn't it? You've let us down, you let yourself down.
What, the balloon joke?
I'm glad you know that one. But it's sad to see, and it's so frustrating. It's so fucking especially with Trump in America. And like, one of the things I thought when he won, apart from the other thing was like, well, at least Labour can now do things in the UK to say, well, no, we're separating it. We're very different from Trump. Trump does it this way. We're going to do it that way. We're going to look after the little people. We're going to look after the people who aren't multi-billionaires who have a spare fucking gold-plated jet to, give away.
Yeah.
And Labour seems to just be making mistake after mistake after mistake. And I don't know how they dig themselves out of this, Tan. Like, I don't. Up till last week, I would have said I don't think they should change the leader. I don't think they should change Starmer before the next election. I think I've changed my mind on that now.
Yeah, I'm getting that way. It's just been
people.
Well, it's just been disaster after disaster. I mean, at the very least, he should make it clear that he's going to change tack and do a reshuffle, sack some of his advisors, because McSweeney's increasingly starting to feel a bit like a Dominic Cummings figure to Labour.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering whether or not there's going to be some kind of shift there, because they're probably going to embarrassingly have to crawl back and U-turn, but it's going to be too late. And the thing is, a lot of the people that voted Labour in 2024 weren't even the proper Corbynites, they'd all buggered off to Greens. It was actually more moderate left people, and he's even pissing them off.
Yes.
So, and he's not going to get any gain, as we've discussed. There's no chance that people are coming back. The papers aren't going to give him an easy ride, ever. You just look at what they did in the run-up to the election with and with the Currygate and with Rayner and I'd go for Rayner myself, but I don't think because of how bad misogyny is and how anti-women the country's going, and a northern working class woman at that. I just don't think. I think we'd end up with someone like fucking Streeting, and that is what I honestly, I think that's how it would go. I think that'd be
the worst of all possible worlds. He's very, very unliked.
But things always get worse, Graham.
No, they don't. They don't.
They do.
Sometimes things get better.
Everything's got, mate, look back at the Tories, right? Okay. Priti Patel, the kind of woman who would unplug your life support machine, plug in her phone, right? The Myra Hindley of politics. Yeah. Replaced by Braverman.
Yeah.
Who did they
but then Braverman got kicked out, along with all the other Tories.
But it's going to happen again. Anymore. Like Kemi Bad Enoch. Oh, I think we can call Starmer Bad Enoch now.
Yes. Worse Enoch.
Worse Enoch. She's starting. I can see Jenrick positioning himself already. He's going to be the next Tory leader, Robert Jenrick, without a doubt.
Yeah,
he's proper fash.
And he's talking about teaming up with Refuck.
And there we go. And that's how you end up with he's going to, whether it's via Tory or Reform, Farage is hurtling. Yeah. And all the infighting's not damaging them either because they're small.
No. We've got a couple of super chats in there.
We have indeed. Thank you. Got Paula Thomas, £2. Thank you. We need to stop confusing memory with intelligence. That's what I was getting at really badly earlier.
It's what exams test, isn't it?
Of course.
They test memory rather than intelligence.
Yeah, it's recall.
There's a very funny one from Matt Hancock.
Oh, Matt Hancock SAS. Thank you very much. Evening, lefties. Do you think Gina will touch me again if I sport a toupee? Full mullet or buzz cut? Much love. I don't know. I mean, maybe you should try dressing like the Milk Tray Man again.
Tray Man with mullets.
And get that weird roll neck jean combo on. Shuffle up her drain pipe, not a euphemism. Woo. And, play the music. Give it a go. But I think you need, I think what's missing for you, Matt, is that you need the cruelty. And we don't currently have a very, worrying national crisis. So I think there's no joy in it for you, to be fair.
Chris, C. Clues in the chat has written that, talking about Labour, they inherited a poor situation. And I don't disagree with that.
No, they did.
Economically, they definitely did. But these decisions, they're banning puberty blockers for trans kids, but not for cisgender kids. What? Yeah. Is that saving us money? Is that rescuing the country? Is that... And then when you talk about stuff like that, on the same sort of level of social stuff, they go, "Oh, we haven't got time to do that. We've got to sort out the economy." And it's like, well, why are you taking time out to demonize trans people when you could be, not doing that? That's exactly why.
It's just culture war bullshit. It's just a continuation. And this is the problem. Like, people voted or wanted change. Labour's entire election campaign was around change. There is no change. I mean, we might be getting, they are doing some good stuff. I've said a million times myself, they inherited a nightmare. They did. Like, who would have wanted the combo of just being elected, boom, race riots being instigated, which I think was really carefully poised for something to kick off. I think those people were in telegrams, they were organised behind the scenes. I don't buy the bullshit that was not far right, like a police report said, because they're all jumping on that now. Could you imagine if hundreds and hundreds of Muslims were bussed into towns and they were rioting? They would have been shot. They would have been shot. It would have been called terrorism. But when a bunch of coked up Tommy Robinson supporters do it, it's not far right, extremism. I'm sorry, it massively is. But they had that, and then they had and then boom, Trump. And it's just like, oh mate, please just give us a break. But they could have made much better choices. They didn't have to start off with something that was going to batter them as a Labour government, like the winter fuel allowance and the bus fares, and then in their budget claw back what is, in the grand scheme of things, pennies from penalising the poor and the disabled. It's just very poor choices, but they are choices that Labour's making.
Yeah.
And I don't know where they go from here besides a complete turn. If they don't do a complete turn now, Farage is just going to completely get on top of them, because this is what he does to people who do what he does, but not as him. So it doesn't, the papers don't believe it. The voters don't believe it, because they don't think that he really believes the racism, and he doesn't. I don't think they do, which is worse. Because you're pretending to be something that you think is popular, which is ripping apart the fabric of our society. It's just absolutely insane.
Yeah. And it's not helping them, and it's not helping us. All it's doing is helping Farage.
Oh my God, that news story that Channel 4 News dropped about, again, this hasn't been kind of repeated by any other news broadcasters, but Channel 4 very clearly said on their broadcast about Starmer going to Albania that the only broadcaster that he took to meet the Prime Minister was GB News. The only broadcaster. Now, a lot of people were still defending this, Labour voters, saying, no, Sky were there, such and such were there. There were journalists there.
Yeah.
But it said that when he went to the meeting with the PM, it was only GB News. So GB News got an exclusive on the Albanian president, or Prime Minister, sorry, towering over him, laughing at him, saying, we're not going to give you what we give Italy in terms of it's the migrant processing, isn't it? The returns policy, which he called performative when the Tories did it, which it was performative. So naturally, GB News dragged Starmer, and that evening they got Jenrick on to slag him off.
Yeah.
Because that's what was going to happen. Yeah.
Why are they pandering? Why is... we're going to end up talking about Labour comms here.
we always do.
We had some super chats come in.
We did, yeah. Thank you. Blah blah CW Gmail. That's a very catchy name, mate. I like it. Thank you. £2 super chat. Hi all. Hope you feel better after Friday, Tan. Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Thank you very much for asking. That's very kind of you. Kieran Crossing. 999 super chat. Thank you. They inherited a nightmare, but can't see that the way to end it is to change the Tory rules that created the nightmare. But they weren't Tory rules. It was the Tories being Farage. So it's such a kind of it's like Russian dolls, right? It's like a doll within a doll within a doll. And Russian fits the bill quite nicely because, so you had after Brexit, you had them pretending to be whatever variation it was then, the Brexit Party, the UKIP, whatever. The Tories went down that route. And then Johnson got rid of all of his moderates, which made the Conservative Party unrecognisable and unelectable. And only the maddest ones remained with any position of power. And then he fucked that up. And then he eventually left after being, in a siege where he was just down to I think he just had Nadine Dorries at one point, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was holed up in number 10, refusing to resign. Even Michael Gove. Then he sacked Michael Gove. And then we got Truss, who absolutely tanked the economy and was the same. She was one of the mad crew that Johnson retained. And then we had Sunak, Moneybags, whose wife was dodging tax, and he was giving loads of the public money to Infosys through the back door, who was still trading in Russia after the invasion. And the Tories were still taking massive sums from Russia after the invasion and after sanctions. And then you just think, all right, we're all right, we're going to get Labour in then. so bad. And I feel like a dick. Like, I have felt like a dick. I knew we didn't have a choice. I knew we didn't.
But it's not like we were saying everyone should vote Labour, and we barked at anyone who said they were going to vote for the Lib Dems or Greens or Plaid Cymru or the SNP. We told people to vote tactically to get the Tories out, and we're going to do exactly the same. Whatever happens in the 2029 election, we're going to be telling people to vote in a way that's going to keep the fuck out. We're going to have to. And it might be telling people to vote for Labour in certain constituencies, but it doesn't mean we're like dyed in the wool, oh my God, everything Starmer does is amazing. And I think the people who are like in awe of Trump or Farage or whoever, you know, they have to find someone to worship. They can't understand people not worshipping the leader of their of a political party. It's like, why would you worship a leader of a political party? I think that's a bit of a weird thing to do.
It is. Isn't it weird though? Because I say this to Corbynites. Like, I voted for Corbyn to be Labour leader and voted for Labour under Corbyn. I didn't actually vote for Starmer to be leader. I think I'd lapsed. I think it was more of an ADHD thing. I got rid of my membership after Corbyn. I was taking a bit of time, like I did this time. But yeah, like it's a very weird attachment. People have an attachment to him, and that makes them beyond criticism, and no politicians beyond criticism. None.
Yeah.
And I don't.
They all fuck up. They all fuck up. They're like footballers or pop stars. They'll fuck up at some point.
Pop stars.
And there's no point in just defending them when they've done something shit. You go, oh, they did something shit. If it's really shit, stop defending them completely. But you don't get this. You get these celebrities who do really fucked up things, and you still get people defending them. You know, it's like, oh, they did nothing wrong. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, have you seen all the shit that people have accused them of?
It's an identity thing, I think, because a lot of people are kind of defined by the things they love, aren't they? Like, and they have a nostalgia. It's actually wired into it changes the way your brain works. I mean, you just look at how music affects people with dementia. Like, it can actually bring people back.
YMCA that works well for Trump.
Oh my God, I can't believe he played that in Saudi Arabia, like a gay anthem. Like, he's got a gay anthem as his song, and he played, oh my God, in the place where they... Means. How could you not know what YMCA means?
Because maybe he's dyslexic and he thinks it's MAGA, and that's what he's singing.
It's fun to stay at the... I mean, for fuck's sake. I mean, but yeah, it's can't remember what I was saying now. I think I'm just rambling.
Sorry. We do have another super chat from Mr. Terry Chaos.
Oh my God, what a name.
Mr.
That's
Terry
an amazing
Chaos.
name. So glad Clive Lewis is speaking out. He's my MP. I love Clive. Yeah, we do love Clive. He's actually, I've said it before, I'll say it again. He's who I would choose as PM myself if I could.
Yeah, I think he'd be brilliant. I think he'd be absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, he's very reasonable. He can't stand the royal family either.
Well, that's good.
No, he's the only MP that I've seen since Truss who speaks out against the royal family. Remember when Truss was a Lib Dem? I mean, this is the thing. These people wear these rosettes like, I don't know, like they're like seasonal badges or scarves. They just kind of chuck them away. No, what I was going to say about Starmer is he's not someone that I don't know anybody, including myself, who was sat there and gone, do you know what? He's my guy. Like he's my ideal political like hero. He's so mild. He's like water. He's just there. I saw him as a perfunctory tool. He was just no pun intended. He was just the person that was in charge of the Labour Party. That was the extent of my attachment to him. And as I have other Labour leaders who needed to win, I was just kind of just behind him and the party. But that doesn't mean that I was sitting there going, you know, I love him. I didn't have like an uplit, guilt-framed picture of Starmer that I worshipped every night.
I'm becoming like, you know, he's not very charismatic. And
Really?
Since it was pointed out that he looks like Roger Irrelevant from The Viz, I can't get that out of my head. And he also always looks like a startled bunny in headlights. He's always
He
like,
does.
and we're going to come together as a country. And he sounds like if you ever watched Spitting Image in the 1990s when they had their John Major puppet that was all grey and he used to eat his peas with Norma. More peas. He sounds like that puppet. He sounds like someone doing an impression of John Major. And it's just, I don't know. I've never watched a speech of his. I've been to conference, you know, I've seen a lot of speeches that he's made. I've never watched something and gone, oh, that's really good. And then, you know, and got fired up by it and gone, oh, yeah, they're going to take on the world now. And this week in Prime Minister's Questions, I fucking cringed so much. Liz Saville-Roberts, who's Plaid Cymru, she made a really good point to him about the fact that he's changed his stance, right? And I think he was talking about Pip, actually. So it's like a pretty important bit of it. And he went, oh, I haven't changed my stance on the fact that you don't know what you're talking about. And it was such a shit answer. Do you know what I mean? It was like it wouldn't even be worthy of Boris Johnson. It was the kind of thing Boris Johnson would do when asked a question, Prime Minister's question, to go, yeah, but you're an idiot. And then all the people behind him would bray. And what I thought was really telling was Rachel Reeves was behind him pissing herself laughing at this. And Angela Rayner was sitting there stony-faced. She was not impressed. She really wasn't impressed. She was like...
No, she looked pissed off. It looks like the light's gone out of Angela Rayner's eyes. And I agree with you. That comment was beneath him. Like,
it was so shit. Like, he could have just answered the fucking question. It was a reasonable question. She wasn't being horrible to him. Well, I mean, you know, obviously...
She kind of was, but it's fair criticism.
Yeah. Constructive criticism, I like to think. You know,
well, no, I think so. Like, I mean, it's a fair point to make, because he's been... I mean, if you look at his approach on immigration in power, it is totally at odds with what he said in his pledges. And I have actually felt a lot of sympathy with the people that, even despite many of them trolling me, I've actually felt a lot of sympathy with the people that were that were saying, like, he is just going to throw it all away. You can't trust him. And, you know, because we get so much feedback, like so much from so many different directions, there were times where I'd be like, all right, then you're just helping the Tories with that, because I would get thousands of comments like that, and I'd get broken every now and again by one. But because it's so, people don't know how much you have coming at you every day if you've got like one platform, let alone 6 like I have, and I'm the only one in charge of it. And I was in kind of hyper focus mode of like, get Tories out, get Labour in, then deal with them then, you know. But I actually feel a lot of sympathy for the way that they've talked about those past pledges, even though the world has changed enormously from when he made them.
Because he made them before COVID. I mean, there's that, but like, and before the Liz Truss budget, before Trump got re-elected, look, there's so many things you could say. Yeah, okay, the world's changed before the invasion of Ukraine. But like, I cannot justify picking on disabled people, picking on trans people. Now, picking on immigrants. What the hell has that got to do with the situation around? You can't go, back in 2000 and back in 2020, people were more loving towards trans people, but now we hate them because we were told to by the media.
Precisely. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. There's no sense to it on any political or moral level. But his stance on immigration was completely different. But the thing is, the reality is that, Brexit let loads more kind of immigrants in, ironically. I mean, it just went whoop. And the Tories handled it terribly and had like loads of kind of like illegal immigrants coming in, and they weren't kind of processing the claims. I say illegal, that's the wrong word. Asylum seekers and refugees and kind of immigrants. They were just sticking them in hotels because they knew that a lot of them had the right to be here, and it would look terrible on them if they let them stay, because they knew legally. That's why they went to the point of trying to kind of illegally surpass international law, really.
But you know that the hotels, they put them in were owned by the mates of the Tory party. They made so much money out of that.
And so not just that.
He said to these people who were seeking asylum that they couldn't work. They can't work.
No, they can't.
They have to wait 3 years for a decision to be made whether they're actually real asylum seekers, real refugees or not. And the whole time, they're paying £100 a night to put them up in the mate's hotel. Our taxpayers' money. Thanks for that. Listen, talking of money, there's a few super chats that have come in. Yuri and Moi Moi.
Thank you, Yuri. Sunak, the biggest borrower in the skirting board. Yeah, I used to call him the billionaire borrower because he borrows loads of money and is fucking tiny. Very well said. Moi Moi, or is it moi moi? EU referendum to invalidate the Brexit weirdos. Love you.
I would
back
love
at
to
ya.
get back into the EU, but I feel like if we had a referendum tomorrow, Leave might win again.
No fucking referendums. No more fighting. Mr. Terry Chaos, thank you again. McSweeney didn't prepare a reply for that question.
Let's talk about the Starmer question. Yeah.
No, yeah, very, very, very well said. Yeah.
What about immigration? It was about the fact that he'd said. I think it was about the fact that he said in his when he was running for leader that he would be welcoming of immigrants, and now he's like, oh,
yes,
you know.
That's what I was really badly trying to circle round to just a minute ago, was the fact that he'd obviously said that. And that's a really fair criticism, because that's something that, there has been an increase, but legal migration economically benefits us. Yeah. Illegal migration, generally, like Labour are getting rid of them, the people that aren't supposed to be here, but the effects are so small on the average citizen. It doesn't really have much of an impact on most people. What the people were blaming the immigrants for, because they're being told to, is 15 years of Tory decline and the economic impacts of Brexit. And the person that's responsible for it is the person telling you that the immigrants are the problem. Yeah. And it's like, how do people not see that really basic whodunit? It's like the end of what was that? Scooby-Doo, wasn't it? When
they takes the mask off. Oh, it was Brexit all along. It was the Brexit you told us to vote for. But why I said that about, I don't want to be flippant about rejoining the EU. You know, I am a rejoiner. I do want to rejoin. I just recognise the fact that, like, I was hoping that this 5 years into Brexit, and the damage it's done to our economy and the damage it's done to our society and our communities, I thought that there'd be a sea change in attitude towards it. When you see the disgusting, ugly frog face of Brexit, which is Nigel Farage's, doing so well in the elections 2 weeks ago, I'm sorry, I don't want to have another referendum yet. I think it's got to be overwhelming. It's got to be at least 66% of the population are screaming to rejoin the EU. That's what I'm hoping for. And it might take a while to get there. But the politicians are one thing. I mean, getting these messages out to people and making them think and making them go, hang on, yeah, my life hasn't got better. I was told after Brexit it would get better. I was told that if we voted for the Tories, I was told that if we were horrible to trans people, my life would get better, and it hasn't.
What a mess.
Why is your life not getting better? And it's because of the Tories. You got another super chat as well, by the way, from Von Dondolo.
Von Dondolo. Von Dondolo. That's a very nice, that just rolls off the tongue. Really grateful for voices like yours and Graham's in times like these. Thank you, Graham. Proper foul-mouthed sanity and decency in a world gone stark raving Starmers. Keep it up. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you to say. It's really difficult. Like you were saying about the EU, I think that Starmer is aligning with the EU gradually.
Yes. Kevin in the chat saying Starmer's new deal with the EU may finally give us an impact report on EU trade relations. And it's I asked a number of Labour MPs about at conference last year, and they were all like, just went, don't think we're going to do it. But an impact report into Brexit from the government could change.
We need that. We really need it. I mean, people were feeling it though. Yeah. But then the papers were celebrating the trade deal with Trump as a benefit.
Yeah.
And it's like, without Brexit as the dry run, we wouldn't have had Trump. Like, what are you talking about? It's like, you realise, for so much of my early life, though, I had no idea about any of this. Like, obviously, I knew that papers were rags and I had some political awareness, but I didn't realise just how deep it is. And I don't think it's been more deep than it is now with the rise of the social media apps.
Yeah, I was going to mention social media. You're absolutely right. They've had 20 years. Labour's had 20 years. And so have the other parties. The Lib Dems, the Greens, got no excuse. They've had 20 years to get their heads around social media, and they still haven't done it. And I'm like, for fuck's sake. 20 years ago, there was some excuse. You could spend a load of money setting yourself up on MySpace, and then it's not there anymore. Do you know what I mean? But these platforms we have now, pretty damn established, and they could be using them. And I was talking to Phil the other day about Claudia Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico, who has an 81% approval rating.
Wow.
81%. It's the highest of any politician in the world. Do you know what she does? Every morning, 9 o'clock, she does a press conference. Goes out, all the Mexicans watch it.
Every morning?
Every morning, 9 o'clock, press conference.
What does... Just an update daily.
Here's what. So they set the agenda every day. Every day says, right, I'm clamping down on crime today. Next day, we're looking at education today, and we're going to do this, and we're hoping to do this, and we'd like to bring you into the conversation. And instead of a government like what we've got, who hide around making, whispering to each other and then making proclamations, and everyone's like, what the fuck? People feel involved in the conversation. And the fact that Labour don't do that, when it wouldn't cost them anything, Tan. Like, they could just stream it on their fucking phone. It's not like they have to build a studio.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like, just do it.
That's a really good idea, because that would set the national conversation. Whereas at the moment, they're just letting that be set by Nigel Farage.
Chasing the ever.
Twice again, constantly on the BBC News. But the other day, he was praising Dubai's justice system and crime system. It's what the lads that chuck people off buildings for being gay. And I don't know if
his girlfriend is in Dubai. I hope they don't know in Dubai that she might be having sexual relations with a man and they're not married. Or that would be terrible for the authorities in Dubai to find that out.
Do you know why? Because essentially they have Sharia law for family matters. Yes. So was Tice saying that Reform wants Sharia law? I mean, it's just another level. Yeah, it's just like, what the hell? What the fuck is going on? But it wasn't all bad news this week. I mean, Lawrence Fox had a great fundraising event in which he raised the grand total of £5 for his latest brush with the law, which was essentially a sex crime. I think he's been charged with. I think it comes under that for sharing an upskirted picture of Narendra Kaur.
What a scumbag! And
I think he was also visited by the police and arrested for. I think it was I don't know. Again, this could be wrong. Don't at me or sue me, anyone. But it was encouraging people to vandalise ULEZ cameras. But he's not in prison, which is real two-tier justice, isn't it?
Because he's rich and powerful, and he went to Harrow, don't you know?
That's the real two-tier justice. But it's
from the famous Fox family. You know, of Michael J. Fox, Jamie Foxx, Fantastic Mr.
etc.
Samantha Fox.
Samantha,
anyway,
related?
No. She's Claire Fox. He's probably related to Claire Fox, because they're both absolute fucking clanging.
Samantha Fox can at least sing a bit.
Claire Fox is one of the most horriblest people that has ever existed. She defended the right of Gary Glitter to download child pornography.
Loads of them do, though. The Spike lot are mental. Like Toby Young, another weirdo.
Oh God, he's a foul bastard.
I was on a panel with Claire Fox.
His daddy made a phone call, didn't he? Toby Young. He didn't get the grades to get into Oxford.
Oh my God.
Daddy made a phone call. And then I got in, which was nice.
They're all the same. Pete, like Dellingpole as well. Dellingpole was the guy who was Breitbart, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And his son was the guy who just happened upon the outskirts place where Labour were having their team building or their team dinner after they'd been campaigning, which was legal at that point, and that set off the entire Currygate.
Yeah.
But I was on a panel with Claire Fox. Really? I think it was Right on the Nail podcast. Yeah. And I stood up to her massively on the subject of trans rights. She hated it. I don't think she expected it either. But yeah, I remember, you know how you get in a debate, it was distance, it wasn't in real life. But you know how you get in a debate where you can feel the adrenaline in you, it was just surging.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's a proper bellend. Can't stand her. I think we had another super chat, didn't we? A little bit.
Yes, we did.
Sorry, God. Excuse me.
While Tana's dying, do you want me to read it?
Please, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So it's from Mr. Terry Chaos. Having some chaos from Tan here. OBR has a Brexit analysis. It's scathing. Thank you very much for the super chat. Yeah, what we need is a proper in-depth analysis of the impacts of Brexit on our economy, because it won't make for happy reading. It really will not make for
None
happy
of it's
reading.
happy anymore. Nothing we read is happy.
Oh,
It's so depressing, man. Like I have had a proper, it's not just been my hormones. Like I've had a proper week of like going to record and then just sitting there and struggling to,
yeah.
because I've got like I've got pages and pages of notes on a video that I was going to do on like spotting disinformation. I was going to set it up with a kind of like, has your uncle or your dad been taken in
Yeah.
by Reform or Farage? Make him watch this, do the whole Clockwork Orange thing on him. Was it Ludovicchio technique?
Something like
Do that on him. But we feel defeated, I think, because we were, I don't know about you, I don't know when you first started doing your kind of like talking about politics. So I understand you had a travel for your amazing achievement of going all around the world. I know that you did that. But I'm trying to think about when you started making political content, because I started in the depths of a lockdown.
yeah.
Just
You
after
started
the
a bit
first
after
one.
me. No, I was doing travel stuff until 2016, and then Brexit happened, and then in
Oh, of course, shit,
2017,
yes.
I
Yes.
came back to stand against my local Labour MP in this, like the safest Labour seat in the country. I had no chance of winning, but just because I had helped him get selected as our candidate in the first place, and I just felt really betrayed by the fact that he voted for Article 50, for the activation of Article 50. The three other MPs from Liverpool all voted against it, but he voted for it, and it really pissed me off. Anyway, so I said, in the next election, I'll stand against you. And then Theresa May called that snap election in 2017. I was in Panama. I wasn't even here.
Oh
So I
my
had to jump on a
God.
plane and stand for election, which is the maddest thing ever. It was quite an interesting experience, to be honest with you. But then a few months later, I started doing like proper sort of talking videos. And a bit after that, I started the Three Blokes in the Pub podcast.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Me and Jason Hunter and Kieran the Van Man. And that was great. But it was making really good content. But it was like us talking here. This isn't costing us anything. If we had to go and try and meet up with you down south, me here, because Jason lived in London and I lived up here in Durham,
yeah,
and
it
it was
costs
like
loads.
trying to meet up to do a show in a pub, it would cost like £100 at least.
Yes.
At least. And if you didn't get that, you wouldn't get that in super chats from a pre-record. So yeah, it wasn't cost effective. Put it that way.
You were doing, I mean, I remember the Three Blokes in the Pub now, but you were doing more direct action. I mean, it is such a cool as fuck thing. It's like, oh, I have to come back from Panama because I'm standing for election. But yeah, the Three Blokes in the Pub, yeah, it is. And then COVID obviously became a moment where I think a lot of people were just kind of like, a lot of people felt compelled to say something, but not everyone was saying stuff about politics. TikTok had quite not that many political TikTokers when, as far as I was aware, not loads and loads and loads of them. I think in Britain, not saying I was the first, I was inspired by a bunch of others that were doing it already, but it was a handful that I could see in Britain, because the algorithm just chucks at you.
Yeah.
Things, all you got to do is like one picture of a cat, and then forever you will be inundated. Talking from personal
I think this is actually wonderful that we can actually do this from our own homes and reach this many people and get the message out to people. If you do want to follow my channel, it's at Politics Social UK here on. There's a link in the description. But I mean, I really do think that it makes a difference, because I meet people who watch you, they watch Femi, they watch Phil's videos, and they'll come up to me and they'll be like, oh, well, I watch your mates, and I've learned a lot from them. And I don't feel like I know everything. I don't speak for any particular party or anything like that. But it's all a learning process, and sometimes you get things wrong. Your chat will let you know if you get stuff wrong.
They always, the comments always do. It's like pedant land, you know.
Yeah.
But I get it. Like, No, you're right, and I'm the same. I just felt like I had to say something. At first, I won't lie to you, it was just piss taking. I just wanted to take the, and it was so easy. It was like punching babies in a barrel. It was so easy. I mean, Matt Hancock, for Christ's sake, if you've got any ability to take the piss, Matt Hancock is going to be, no offense, mate, I know you're in the chat, but it's just so easy. And Johnson was just like a caricature of himself. And at first, it was just kind of like just doing a little 1 minute video. I used to do 1 minute videos and upload them every day. And then I did a couple on taking the piss out of this guy who was like anti-lockdown, and that just snowballed it. Yeah. And it went crazy. And then I kind of learned on the job personally. I'd always been involved in politics, always voted, always read manifestos, always been active. But I had to learn how it all works. I didn't, I had to learn how the inside of how Parliament works, how bills are put. I had to teach myself all of that. And luckily, that I was in a house on my own, working a 9 to 5, and then I would go downstairs for a break in the evening. I was working throughout the entire pandemic and running and starting up the kind of TikToks. And then I started kind of like reading more investigative journalists, and I went down a rabbit hole. It was like an ADHD hyperfocus. But I've never claimed, like, not like, I know you've got a politics degree. Like, I've never had that level of education on it, but I was just kind of giving my opinion and trying to make it clear that it was kind of my opinion. But then I started learning, but I wanted to make content that was kind of accessible to people. So you didn't have to be some twat that went to Oxford. And
exactly.
Had a degree.
I try not to pull the whole university degree thing too much, because I learned more traveling than I did. I did like doing 3 years of uni, 2 years of A level. Like you learn so much more. You just take it in. I don't know. It's just the way my brain works. I don't know.
Well, you see how it all works in different countries that way. You see the difference in systems, don't you?
Just talking to people. And I'll never forget, like, one of the sort of most shameful moments of my entire life, to be honest with you. We sat down to speak to one of the guys who was one of the writers of the Good Friday Agreement. We were at the Queen's University in Belfast. And we were talking away. And he mentions the fact that the Irish population still hasn't recovered from the famine of the 1840s, Tan. The population isn't still what it was over 170 years ago, 180 years ago. And I didn't know that. With all me, degree and all that kind of stuff, no one had ever said it. No one thought to mention it. And I'm like, bloody hell. If that's the level that you have to go to actually find out the shit that went on in the past. And this is why it proper winds me up when you get like what do they call themselves? Restore Heritage or something, trying to take over the National Trust.
Oh my God,
Trust.
Yes.
And they want to stop stately homes from putting signs up saying this was bought with the proceeds from slavery. And I'm like, why are you trying to rewrite history? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I just don't. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you say, yeah, we did that, it was a terrible thing?
People don't know enough about it already.
Yeah,
because we're not taught it.
No,
we're not taught that in school. I found out about the I always pronounce it wrong. You say it's Boer, I say Boer. I don't know who's wrong. Boer.
I say Boer War because it rhymes.
Boer War. It does.
Hey.
Boer War.
Calm down.
It's I didn't know about that until I feel at times I felt very thick doing this, but then that's humbling because it's like, oh, now I'm going to go down a rabbit hole and I'm going to go into a hyper-focus. I'm going to learn all there is to know about how we invented concentration camps and, and how, but the thing is, I wish I hadn't, because then I saw the parallels between that and the Manston processing camps. And the Bibby Stockholm and the pestilence and the disease and nature taking its course amongst a concentration of people. And I was like, what the fuck? They're trying to kill these people.
Yes.
And at that point I'd amassed a huge following. So I thought, sod it, I'm going to tell people about this. But you're absolutely right. Conversations are so important, which is the thing that really worries me about social media's negative impact, because everyone is so much more insular nowadays.
Yes.
And there's not much nuance in the way that people, there's none at all, actually.
No. Well, you can't. How much nuance can you have in 160 characters?
I mean,
That's
this is
the big problem. It's like, and people are so busy, and we're absolutely inundated with bad news, like no human has ever had to deal with. And I kind of, I keep thinking once this is over, I kind of thought, right, well, Labour's in and they're being normal, they're not being crazy, and in America we'll have Harris in, and I can just retire from doing this and do something else in my life and not read the papers every day. That's where I'd like to get back to. I'd like to get to a point where I could do like a daily show in the morning, and I just go, right, tell me what's happened. Tell me, what do you want to talk about? And we might talk about travel. We might talk about the latest movies or music or concerts. We might talk about the football, God damn it, or the basketball or the baseball. Like there's so much to talk about that's going on in the world. It doesn't have to be the horrible shit, but the horrible shit just won't stop, Tan.
I know, which is why I've just been kind of like rocking backwards and forwards for about a week trying to make sense of it, because you have to kind of like, it's not just absorbing it. I mean, we have to, like, it is difficult. You have to condense it. You have to get your angle on it.
Yeah.
And the problem is we're also put in a position where we're having to react to the right-wing narrative rather than setting the agenda ourselves. If we were setting the agenda of what should be going on or what we would like to happen, it would be a different matter. But instead, we're having to counter the arguments of really dangerous and really scary people.
Yeah.
They're all linked in this like international far right network. Yeah. I mean, you've got Farage, Tate, Fox, all of them, like Trump.
Yeah.
They're all working with each other on some level, and they have been for a long time. And this is the thing that really pisses me off about the immigration argument, because I had Labour voters saying to me, oh, but there are too many of them, aren't there? And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? You're now repeating Farage's lines, are you? Like, what the hell are you playing at here? Yeah. And I felt like I was going mad. Like, I felt like I was going to have I vented in our group chat because I thought, that shook me. That actually, like, it was not every thing does, otherwise we'd have gone mad long ago. We'd just be screaming in a corner. But I was like so emotionally affected by people. I felt like I was in a horror film. Yeah. Because people that had voted for him were defending the indefensible, because I think they think that if not, you're letting the other lot win. Yeah. Labour's letting the other lot win by doing this. And if you don't hold them accountable, they're just going to keep fucking going. Yeah. And surely, like, I think we did in our own way help them, because we went easy on them. A bunch of us did. Not all of us. We've all got our own different independent views, but a bunch of us really did go quite easy on them in the run up to the election, because it was hypothesis. They'd not done anything. Yeah. But we're not Labour comms, and if we were, they'd be doing better. But
Labour comms, the motto of Labour comms is, we've tried nothing and we're all out of ideas.
If only, do you know what? Doing nothing would probably be better than putting out. We've
got a couple
names.
Of super chats, by the way.
Okay,
from our friend Will, and also from Peter.
Will, mark my words, Tan. Strong start. When Bojo returns to Parliament, Reform and the Tories will merge. He's coming. ... That's ominous. Like a stinky fart we just can't get rid of. Yeah,
I don't disagree with that.
They were discussing this earlier. On, I think it was either Times Radio or LBC, whatever I could get on my DAB. I can only get two. I think they're the two. And they were talking about this, how easily and readily people forget, like, Partygate. Mm-hmm. And it came out just last week that directly responsible, Hancock, sorry, I know you're in the chat, and Johnson were responsible for 180,000 deaths. Like, they were noted as their negligence caused that, at least.
Yep.
And the whole fucking time, that is not even I thought they'd do that. Like, I hated the Tories, and there's no way in a million years they even surpassed my low expectation. Do you think it's gonna Do you think he's going to come back? Do you think he's going to emerge like a body in the
Yes.
tent?
Yeah, because Farage should be dead. I mean, politically speaking, he should be 6 feet under. He encouraged this country to fucking to vote to impose economic sanctions on itself.
Yeah.
He
You're
should be
spot on.
he should be long gone.
Mm.
Trump in America mounted an insurrection against his own parliament building, which led to 150 police officers being injured, some of them being tased, some of them having their heads stamped on. They caused £3 million worth of damage. You know, the shit we get if we block a fucking road. They caused £3 million worth of damage to that building, and 9 people died as a result. 9 people of what they did. And he's back in power. So yeah, Boris will be back because people don't give a fuck.
That is a worrying thought.
People don't give a fuck.
This is what really worries me, and this is the thing that makes me think it's futile, because it feels like we're just like little fish in a big pond in the grand scheme of things. We've not got billions of pounds to funnel into hate bots and radicalizing people online, and we haven't got that money, and we're not going to get it because the people that fund that are the people that want to benefit from it. So I'm with you. Like I'm thinking about just running off to what my ideal, like maybe I could just find a nice Scottish lighthouse keeper or something to take me on. Peter Quenault, punching babies in a barrel. I do love a mixed metaphor. It's not a malapropism, is it?
Malapropism.
It's not, is it? Because is that what
it is? No, a malapropism is when you use a word, a highfalutin word, and you use the wrong one. So
yes,
you're trying to make yourself sound more intelligent, but you end up making yourself look
trying
like
to sound refined, but you end up sounding like a bellend because you've used it in the. Because I constantly worry that I've done that. I really do. And we've got another here from Ivan Ambrose. Thank you very much. Thank you all, by the way. Any mention of Boris flares up my PTSD. People need to stop profiling him. I mean, I don't know though, because I think that once the mask slipped with him, he's not the same as Farage. They're not the same type of populist, I don't think. I think they are distinguishable. Like Farage is like, Teflon. Nothing sticks to him, but it did stick to Johnson. And not just that, people came out against it and they spoke out against it. And I don't think I don't think that Johnson could, considering, because his entire shtick was on the illusion of him being this like buffoon, and then it all came out about the bodies piling high. Even the Mail went after him. It wasn't a kind of storm in a teacup, and I think there's too much to throw at him. I
hope so. 232,112 deaths from COVID in this country. In Japan, so we had 232,000 deaths. They had 74,000 deaths. They have a population nearly twice ours, Tan.
Concentrated as well.
Yeah, but more concentrated. They're an island as well. And the reason why so many more British people died was because of that bastard who we just mentioned. And he just wants to party every night. He didn't want to do the job. He just wanted the plaudits.
He wanted to write books about. Who was he writing a book about? Was it Churchill? Shakespeare. I was going to say Shakespeare. But it wasn't just him. It was the failures of the previous Tory government, who refused to adequately engage with free pandemic preparedness exercises, Cygnus, Signet, Alice. And the one in 2016, Hunt was he was the secretary. What's the one with the NHS? It's the health secretary. He refused to make or call life or death decisions because it made him feel a bit funny. I mean, what? That's your job, mate.
You could argue from a distance that like Johnson has charisma, and you can see why he rose up through the political ranks, because he had that sort of boosterism and the camaraderie and all that bullshit, right? Matt Hancock is the ultimate example of why we should burn down every fucking private school in this country, because means we have this tsunami of these very mediocre white males who get to these positions of power, and then one day a disaster comes along and they don't know what to do because they are so out of their depth. They would be out of their depth in a paddling pool. But because of their connections, because daddy made some phone calls, because of, it's not what you know, it's not who you know, it's what you know about who you know. And if you spent some time in boarding schools with half the country's billionaires, then you're going to have a lot of dirt on them.
Oh, God, some of the stories that I would hear. But no, you're absolutely right. They are inept, and they also feel like they're born to rule.
Yes.
And the other aspect of it is therefore, because they've never had to live like common people, they're much more happy to inflict ideological austerity on people, like they did by bailing out the banks and letting people lose their houses and their jobs.
They won't lose their house.
It never does. And this is the thing. The thing with Operation Exercise Sickness in particular was so criminal.
Yeah.
I mean, they were given a scary report that if a pandemic was to happen in the next year, we would be fucked, entirely fucked. There was 3 of them too.
Yeah.
And they failed to replenish the stockpiles. They failed to replenish ventilators, PPE, all the equipment was out of date. And not only did they just fail to adequately replace it, they were making fuckloads of bank for their mates who were pretending were suppliers of PPE. Yep. And Hancock was giving money to his local pub, landlord or whatever, the landlord of his local pub for services as yet. I mean, it's criminal. I mean, it was theft, and it was based on years and years and years of failure prior with the previous lot, who were not looking after the needs and the services of this country. Even when it came to protecting us against a pandemic they knew was coming over the hill. Yeah. So when this is why I got so fucking angry when people would sit there and go, well, nobody knew this was going to happen. They fucking did. They had 3 reports telling them that this was going to happen. And the only thing that was slightly different was it was based on, I think, a bird flu mutation instead of COVID, right? But SARS had happened before. There had been outbreaks of similar kind of respiratory
and COVID
disease.
Was a SARS virus, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It was SARS 2, wasn't it? Return of the bitch. But no, like swine flu, again, another one. I think I got that after Glastonbury. It was fucking bad. And that was kind of handled ever so slightly better, but that was a kind of warning shot. They had warning signs, but because they'd put so much effort into robbing our services blind, stripping away from things we used whilst enriching themselves, when it hit us, we were already 10 steps behind. Yeah. Other countries weren't. Other countries had prepared for this. So it was negligent from the onset. It was negligent before it happened. Yeah. The Conservatives, everybody. So
we were better placed than most other places because we are an island.
Stop them. Do you remember the planes coming in? I was like, why are they still letting planes in?
Yeah. And then the mad thing was the government didn't put any emergency legislation in to say if you've got a space at Heathrow Airport, you get to keep it until this is over. So what these planes had to do is they had to go up in the air with no one in apart from the pilots, fly around, just burn some fuel, and then come back and land in Heathrow to keep their spot in Heathrow. And it's just like, are you kidding me? Is this a satire or something? Why are you putting empty planes up in the sky? Oh, because it's the way it's got to be. It's like, no, it's the way it is when you don't have a pandemic on and there's people on the fucking planes. But this whole thing is ridiculous, and they didn't shut down Heathrow. Do you remember it was voluntary to stay in a hotel when you got here and all this?
Voluntary testing. And of course, if people were going to be asked during the apocalypse whilst they're trying to get back to wherever they're going, if they've done a test, they're going to go, oh yeah, of course I did. It was fine. But they weren't even any tests. This is the problem. Really early on, we couldn't even get tests here. People forget that they weren't even testing people in hospitals. Yeah. They weren't testing people in hospitals unless they were respirator level. They didn't have any of the tests. So, and they knew it was airborne, and they were still putting the elderly, and it wasn't just elderly people in care homes, it was people with learning difficulties, disabilities.
Yep.
So they were just implementing wholesale eugenics. It was like democide.
Well, I've told you what happened with my family. I went back to Liverpool because that was when my dad's got dementia.
Yeah.
And he was bedbound. I think when you came round to Liverpool, he was bedbound by then. But before then, he was up and about at the first part of COVID.
Wow.
And his kidney started to fail, so he was rushed into hospital. And he was kept in there for a few weeks. He didn't really need to be in there that long. It was just because every time there was a case of COVID in the hospital, they had to keep everyone in. We finally let him out, and he's at home. He's in the bed in the living room, and the carers have to come 4 times a day. They're not NHS carers, Tan. Someone's got to make money out of that misery. And so it goes to a private company who hire people, who generally are people from Nigeria, Ghana, Bangladesh, India,
Thailand, Philippines.
carers from around the world. And they were not given any PPE. They were given masks, but they didn't necessarily wear them correctly. They weren't giving them the face visors.
They weren't proper masks.
And they weren't being tested, because back in 2020, you had to pay to get tested. And of course, you can't cut into the shareholders' profits, or you can't let the CEO have to buy a smaller boat this year. So, or gold-plated swimming pool, or whatever the fuck these twats spend their money on. And I got COVID, my dad got COVID, my mum got COVID within a few days, because these carers were going from vulnerable person to vulnerable person and taking COVID from one house to the next.
You're lucky to survive. It's a time when
we were all locked down. We weren't allowed to go anywhere, and this is what happened. And this is around the same time that you had your dickhead, what's his name, Rishi Sunak, saying, eat out to help out. It helped out the virus, yeah?
Helped to kill your nan.
And it was just magical thinking, Tan. It was magical thinking.
They weren't. I think they were doing the whole pretend everything's fine and then it will be fine bullshit. That's the kind of, that was the public, that was the comms.
Yeah.
I don't think they gave a solitary fuck, frankly.
No.
And I think they were purely thinking of overheads and the economy, which they further fucked by causing people to consistently have to lock down again.
Yeah.
I saw people, because I saw ambulances around my street a bit more around that time. And I saw they weren't even wearing, they looked like recycling bags. They weren't even wearing proper PPE. Yeah. And it was just horror after horror. And then I would be kind of gardening to try and keep myself sane. And you would hear the death toll on the radio, and it would come in 1,000 died today, or and then it would just go up and up. And I wasn't as bothered about myself, although I did at one point worry, because my housemate moved in with his girlfriend so they could stay together. We offered her to live here, but she couldn't. But I was like, God, am I just going to be found dead? Because there was relatively young people dying of it too. People that were in their 30s were dying of it. Yeah. There was a woman who was found in her house after a week, who had just succumbed to it. Those first strains were brutal.
Yeah.
And I don't think I got it into a year later, but it was terrifying. And the thing that made it even more terrifying, I remember at the time, was how the government was handling it.
Yeah.
Because it felt like you were in a horror film.
Yeah.
Where it felt like you were in a bad dream. Have you ever had a bad dream where you're running away from something terrifying and you try and knock on the door of someone and they won't let you in? They won't help you. It was like that. That's what it felt like every day. But people's kind of ignorance to it also shook me. People just not.
Some people don't think it was real. They lived through it and they don't think it was real.
Well, that's what brought conspiracy here in a big way. We already had conspiracy, but that's what really kicked off the Britain MAGA conspiracy thing, because obviously the people that pushed those conspiracies thought, oh, brilliant, this is and they found more people to latch onto. And then once you're in one, all the others seem a bit more reasonable to you. So you start thinking, oh, maybe the earth is flat, actually. Maybe.
We got a couple more super chats from Tim. From Ivan, and then Tim.
Oh, hello. Okay. What's the latest with the COVID inquiry? It's really quiet just lately. The last update that I saw was the one that I was talking about. I tweeted about. I don't know if you follow me on Twitter, but I did put out a article, and that was one that was referring to Hancock and Johnson. It's we all know what it is, and we all know why they want an inquiry, because just like with Grenfell, it covers up the shock and the betrayal and the negligence with endless bureaucracy, and it runs down the emotional meter, I think, don't you, Graham? Like, it runs down the emotional meter of people's patience.
It's so hard to care about so many things all at once in such a deeply emotional way that these things trigger, I think
and they drag it out. They drag it out for so long that by the time you get to the end, people have almost lost their will to live.
If you do want to get involved in the inquiry, they do have something. This runs out on the 23rd. Okay, so if you're going to do this, do it quick. I'll put the link into the chat there with Tanskii's name, and it's called Every Story Matters, and you get to share your experience of COVID. I've got to do it. I have to remind myself to do it, because I'm going to put in about what happened with my dad.
Yeah,
because that to me just spoke volumes about the Tory mentality.
But and private, and the lack of social care, and the use of private companies too.
Yeah,
and how those workers are treated, because they couldn't afford probably to pay for tests on top of everything else.
They should have been tested every week. They should have been tested every day, to be honest.
Every at least,
going in to see vulnerable old people who are the most likely people to die of it. We do have a couple more super chats. We've got Tim and Kieran Crossing in there.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, thanks, Tim. Let's have some good news from this week. Calvin Robinson, Alter Mitty, stroke the woke finder general, stroke my favourite one, Leo Prayer, got sacked again.
Woo!
I mean, it has been a bad week for those guys. I mean, which does make me happy. Lawrence Fox and Leo Prayer having a very bad time. Yeah, he can't get. I mean, this is the problem with these lads. They're trying to rub up against the right. I don't know if they've got something they don't want to come out about themselves, but it's where the money is, isn't it? They just see pound signs and they're just like, this is how you make money nowadays, and they're sadly correct. Like, it is. Or they go on GB News, which is literally funded by the Saudis, to push anti-Muslim rhetoric.
Yeah.
So fucking crazy. And we've got Kieran Crossall. They saw a disaster capitalist opportunity, but I am ashamed I undercalled COVID in early conversations with people as I lived through SARS in China. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, it was a different variant though, wasn't it? I mean, it was but that doesn't make it conspiracy. Just because people always do capitalize on these things, it doesn't mean that it was planned or it was, done on purpose or anything like that. Sadly, you always get the vultures, and these people are just born vultures. So, that's the last one, isn't it?
If people want to join that, go and have a look at if you look on the chat on the screen there, the yellow highlighted one, that's the link to the COVID public inquiry. Share your stories about your experience in COVID, and especially if you suffered, your friends suffered, family, whatever. Just make sure those stories are put down on the record, because they do. Every story does matter. And
it does. Yeah.
I find like inquiries, it is a bit of a cop out, isn't it? Because what'll happen is an MP will just say, they'll be questioning about, what are you going to do about this terrible thing that happened? Oh, we're going to have an inquiry. I can't comment now because there's an inquiry. So for 5 years, they don't comment because it would be wrong to comment because there's an inquiry going on.
It's why in the thick of it, I think it's one of the early series, when they're like, we're going to have an inquiry, and they're like, yes, because they know that's a get out of jail free card. And they know that's, well, sometimes they can make recommendations for like legal action, but they rarely do. And also the government doesn't have to implement anything that's found in the inquiry. It's optional. Like, so like with Grenfell, it's like it's enraging.
The child sexual grooming gangs, that inquiry came out, what, 3 years ago? But landed on Suella, Kemi Badnoch's desk, and she just fucking put it in the drawer. She didn't do any of the recommendations in it, and now they're screaming at Starmer that they need another inquiry. And it's like, well, no, we had one. You did nothing about it.
And Theresa May accidentally on purpose losing the sex abuse cases, like, and
also the Windrush people who went on holiday or went back to, Jamaica for the first time in 50 years after they came here as children, and they weren't allowed back into the country.
God,
and it's like people in their 70s, people in their 80s, and they're like, "What? I can't go home. It's the only home I've ever known. Why can't I go back?" And it's just like, what the hell? What is wrong? What is wrong with these people in charge who are like, I just don't care. I don't care how many horrible things happen. I would be mortified, Tan. If I fucked up, what do you like with fucking typos? If you put on a tweet and you've spelt something wrong, it doesn't matter if it's already been shared 500,000 times, you'll delete that tweet.
I will.
You'll be mortified about the fact that you accidentally put a double space after the full stop or something.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
They're quite happy for these fuck ups to just live and destroy people's lives,
and they're immoral, and they don't face any like legal consequences, which is precisely why all these millionaires want the job. Well, not just because of the backhanders and the ability to further their own financial interests, but it's because it's unchecked power. You're so unlikely to get arrested if you're the prime minister, when you should be held to a massively higher standard because you're responsible for millions of people. And that's the thing that really fucks me off about all of this, because you see people that haven't got a pot to piss in either turning on people that also haven't got a pot to piss in, but they're of a different culture or a different skin color. And it's like, the reason that you can't get a council house, the reason that you can't afford anything, the reason you can't get a court date, the reason you're on an NHS waiting list isn't the immigrant's fault. It's the person that's on the best part of 100 grand a year that's never had to struggle a day in their life being negligent in terms of running the country. And I still can't believe people fall for it. It's been like this since the day of the serfs and the lords. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Divide and conquer always works.
We've got some good news coming from Romania. The Liberal mayor of Bucharest has won the presidency.
Okay,
against the right wing nationalist George Simeon. So that's really good.
This is interesting, isn't it? This is a lot of people are doing this post-Trump, aren't they? Because we had Canada, Australia, and now
we booked the trend, and it's because Labour aren't linking everything, like aren't linking reform with Trump, because people hate Trump. Even people who vote reform hate Trump.
Well, this is the thing. We need to make this link.
Yeah,
we need to kind of batter this into people.
He's so brash and tacky and tasteless. I think that it just offends the sensibilities of most people in Europe.
You're tacky and I hate you.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
The way that, have you seen the inside of the jet plane that he's been given? It's all like 80s really yellow gold shite. It's like what a child, like a spoiled child, would dress the room up.
He's so like new money. He's what people call nouveau riche, isn't he?
He bought all his own furniture.
He's gaudy. He's gaudy. It's like someone that's never seen money before has been given loads of it. Yeah. It's like a caricature.
Del Trotter. Del Boy. Del Boy winning the lottery.
But even Del Boy's house had it was more understated than that. I mean,
it was. It was ridiculous, but yeah.
It makes Del Boy look chill.
Yeah, it makes like he's got good taste. Minimalist good taste.
Minimalist good taste. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm losing my voice. I think I'm starting to sound a bit croaky. I don't know what I've done. I have been
You've probably been
rabbiting.
talking too long because we've been going on for an hour and a half. So.
Oh shit. Okay, we should probably
I've gotta
wrap up.
go.
I don't understand how we got onto how did we get onto COVID? I'm just
I
trying to
don't want to
figure
have to
out.
make this journey backwards because I have no idea how we got here. But that's the way these conversations often go.
Because we were supposed to be. I mean, we have covered quite a lot though, haven't we? Because we've covered the absolute night. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that we need to talk about in terms of
We need to talk
Starmer.
about how everyone watching this needs to subscribe to Politics Social UK.
Everyone that's watching this needs to subscribe to Politics Social UK. There's a link in the bio.
And there's a link in the chat now as well.
I was going to do that at the very, very end.
No, you can do it again at the end.
I'm gonna. All right. No, thank you. Like, obviously, Graham, you are a brilliant producer.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm the best producer you've ever had.
You are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also the worst, but there you go.
But I think what we need to do is we need to make the link between reform and Trump.
Yes.
And we need to really sell legal migration. We need to talk about the fallacies around immigration.
Yes.
Because it's a cultural and a financial benefit to us.
We need to separate in people's minds the idea of people who are coming here to work who have a visa and might outstay the visa, and that would make them being here illegal, and asylum seekers. Asylum seekers are never illegal until they're told they're not allowed to be here, until they've been processed and it's like, okay, you're not a real refugee or whatever. And we really need to make that, because people don't know the difference. They think that hundreds of thousands of people are coming over every day in small boats and they're taking up all the NHS and they're not allowed to work. And they conflate these completely different things. It's like slavery and colonialism. There were two distinct periods of English horror that we spread around the world. But there was a bit of overlap, but there was slavery, and then about 50 years later, there was a scramble for Africa, and that's when we colonized the whole place and did even worse things, arguably. So just making sure that people are informed. I think that's it. And anyone watching this, and I hope you tune into Tan and Aid and Phil Morehouse and people making this content, because we're all informing each other. We're all sort of pointing this stuff out, and it really does help. Like, I take things that you've said that I've seen on one of your videos when I'm discussing stuff with people about Trump, about Boris Johnson, about Farage and all that.
Because I trust you guys, because I know that you would not. Well, I know especially you wouldn't, in terms of like how finicky you are about mistakes. But we
still make mistakes. I still do.
But we fact check. I mean, we share articles, and we even in our own political groups. If someone says something, we'll go in and we'll go, "Oh no, that was debunked. No, that's not right. This is the." We
are never that polite, Tan. We go, what's this, you total shit flap?
I'm talking about the movement forward one.
Oh, sorry, the grown-up one.
The grown-up one where we have to pretend to be
not the smoking room one outside.
Not the smoking room, and definitely not fuck your bins. But
not fuck your bins, no.
But no, it's so important that that we're all really careful about how we research stuff. We don't want to be spreading misinformation. But it's also important to know that most public anxiety about immigration is shaped by media narratives, not direct experience. So most of the people that are spouting this, unfortunately, the problem that we have in this country is, for very good reason, I think, we don't have a political education. We're not taught in schools. We're not taught about voting. We're not taught about the voting system. Yeah. The fact that we might need to tactically vote. We're not taught that every vote. When I was younger, like before my nan told me, I used to think that if you vote for someone, you have a shot of getting that person out. It's not how it works. No. And it's kind of like very much seen as politics is for the rich still. And that kind of like emphasizes the class divide. And sadly, a lot of people, either if they're lazy or they're busy or they don't want to, they don't read up on it, and they don't look at the facts, and they want to have an opinion on it. So they just repeat a headline that's been very carefully crafted to make them do that.
Yes.
So it's sensational.
But and then there's no alternative, because our political parties on the left don't seem to want to do anything on social media that will make anyone pay attention to them when they totally could.
And it's daily as well. It's just drumming this shit in until it beds into people. Yeah. And that's why you've got people immediately that I knew that I grew up with, that I'll look on Facebook at them being pissed off about something. They'll go, oh, well, if I came over in a boat, I'd have the world handed to me. No, you'd have 30 quid a week and you wouldn't be allowed to work. Yeah. Even if you're a nurse or a journalist or a dentist, you wouldn't be able to work. Yeah. So that is, and we're crying out for vacancies as well in this country. Yeah. So
we do have another super chat as well.
Oh shit. Yeah, before we go.
Quite a generous one from Ivan.
Oh, thank you, Ivan. How do we convince some people on the left that as wealth tax is not the way to stop the welfare cuts? I agree with Phil's alternative tax measures. The super rich will transfer money overseas digitally with a wealth tax.
Yeah. As Gary Stevenson says, tax the assets. You can't move a house.
Yes.
You can't move a house. You can't transfer a house over.
Yes.
You can't transfer a business. When we live in a society in which a company as big as Starbucks pays no corporation tax in this country, how can that be a thing? There's physical shops, so tax the shops.
Yes.
That's it. You know, you own more than 5 shops, fine. There's an X amount you got to pay each year, depending on how many shops you've got. So, you know, the small shopkeepers who just have one shop, they don't have to pay it. But because it's not a level playing field. I hate the way they go, oh, it's a level playing field. It's not. How can a small, you know, grocery on the corner compete with Asda or Sainsbury's?
They can't.
Tesco?
I mean, they literally can't. I mean, it's a total mess. I mean, I don't think it would stop the welfare cuts anyway, because even if they did reverse on that, everyone's going to remember they tried to do it. So politically, it's
don't tell them. Just say they need to do it, because that's the only way to get the voters back. Don't say, oh, it doesn't make any difference now. You may as well just do it, because they'll be like, oh.
Well,
where's this sadism come from in the Labour Party? I expected it from the Tories.
Right, the first time there, Graham.
Where's it come from?
I think it's a reaction to what they see as the public temperature. Whereas if it was the public temperature, they wouldn't have got a landslide win.
Yes,
and because people were voting against that from the Conservatives. So I think they're trying to look fiscally sound. But what they don't realise is that whereas the Tories could have drowned your firstborn and got away with it, and people go, oh, well, it's the Tories, isn't it? You know, they're always drowning your firstborn to sell for baby meat, or wherever I'm going with this. But if Labour,
very dark, very fast,
very dark. It was a bit like a Hans Christian Andersen tale, but they won't do that with Labour. Labour will be held to a higher moral standard,
good,
and also a higher. No, but I know they should be, but also a higher standard when it comes to economics. So Labour will never be asked how you get. Tories will never be asked how you're going to pay for it. Yeah. That's all you will hear someone say to it, because they're seen as fiscally responsible when, I don't know, it was a Labour PM that stopped us from having a global financial crisis that was as severe as it could have been.
Yeah.
And saved us. And then in came fucking pig fucker and his coked up mate, and they gave us austerity in Brexit. So slow clap there. Yeah. So
you know who's in charge of our council now, Tan?
Oh,
Crafty Wank and the Refuckers.
That sounds like the worst, like during pacemakers.
Do what band? Introducing Crafty Wank and the Refuckers.
And his mum should have had a wank.
That's what I want to ask. I'm going to go to a council meeting and I'm going to ask. My question will be, because his mum's a councillor as well.
Yeah,
I want to ask his mum I want to ask him if his mum knows why he's called Crafty Wank. Imagine that as an official question.
Someone put a fake plaque up saying, in year 9, Darren Grimes had a wank under a table in this school. Like, someone put a fake thing up. It was one of the best things I've ever seen.
Oh, that's fabulous.
It really took off, man. Nothing. I mean, the thing is, it's like it's like super bad, isn't it? People don't forget. And that it might not even be true. It probably isn't true.
No, it's probably not. But who cares?
But it's stuck. It has, much like his desk lid. But it's so funny of all the things. Having a wank under the table is such a kind of school rumor, isn't it? It's so funny. Thank you, Yuri. Super chat. Is there a shit flat in your politics group, and why is it 8? He is. He really is. He really is. I've called him shit flat for the longest time. He calls me Dandelion, which I think is it's the cutest nickname that I've got. Much nicer than that fucking bitch, which is I normally get. But no, yeah, he is he's peak shit flat. Have we got a nickname for you, Graham?
Probably.
Oh,
probably
we'd tell you.
Probably one of your chats that I'm not in.
You're not. I'm not in a chat without you in it. Actually, I don't think.
You're not. Oh,
no.
Oh
God, you're in one without me now.
No, I'm not.
What a bitch. Oh, we've got a new member. Thank you, Zantisuken Amy.
Oh,
Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you, my love. Welcome to Fat the Tories, mate. Right, I'm gonna have to go make myself a lemon and honey. I really hope I'm not coming down with something because we've got Brighton next week. For anyone that's not aware, Graham does a great show called Politics Social, and on a Friday night there's the social live stream. It's not got a particular name, that bit.
It's a Friday night social.
That's it, the Friday night social. Sorry,
you're almost there. You're circling around.
I am. Yeah, I'm like a plane during COVID, just going around the fucking airport,
burning some aviation fuel, you know.
Yeah, and we're hopefully going to be doing one all together in real life. I say hopefully, we are on next Friday.
Friday in Brighton.
In Brighton, not Bristol, Graham?
No, not Bristol. Sorry, I did the show on Friday. I kept saying Bristol. I don't know why. Bristol.
Like I was like
so tired, Tan. I was like, honestly, I was hot. It was like midnight, and I'm like, we've got to wrap up the show now, guys. You can see my eyes like closing over.
But it turned into a very bizarre, like bread-based chat towards the end. It's becoming very food orientated, isn't it? The politics social nowadays.
It's just very random. I need to write down before I start. I need to write down what we're going to talk about so we can try and keep on target. But
we're dissociating, man. We're dissociating to survive. So we're just going into a nice realm where we've got freshly baked bread.
Yeah. But Friday, Brighton. If anyone's around in Brighton, get in touch for the usual means, and I'll let you know what we're doing and what the plan is. And please watch along because we'll be doing the Friday night social in real life. I'm looking forward to it. I could really do with the weekend away. Only I don't want to talk about politics. Can we talk about anything but politics?
Me too. Josh, our very own Megamind from Movement Forward, his mum's putting me up. I'm going to be staying with Josh's mum. Megamind's mum.
Do you know what? We should swap, right? You stay with Mike and I'll stay with Josh's mum, and then we can make Josh's mum jokes forever.
Oh, I would never make a Josh's mum joke. She's putting me up. No, I'm going to stay with the mum. I'm having the mum. Someone's asked, am I going on the Bin podcast? Yes, I believe on the 29th. But as a consequence of Brighton, I don't know if I'm going to be doing a live stream next Sunday yet. I'm going to have to see how long it takes me to get back because it's quite a mission, especially on a Sunday.
I'm going back to Liverpool.
Yeah, all right, you win. But it is
getting the slow train. It's only 20 quid.
A slow train?
Slow train from London to Liverpool.
It takes 3 hours to get there from Liverpool. On
the slow train, it takes 4 hours and 20 minutes.
And it costs less, does it?
Yeah. It's put on like by Midlands trains. It's not the usual Avanti.
Okay.
I don't mind going slower, you know.
You don't mind going slow, you're just chilling. I mean, you have been on like mad transportation all around the world.
Yeah, like if I look at something, it takes less than like 56 hours. I'm like, easy.
That's a piece of piss. That's why you don't mind the mega bus, because at least then you're not on top of a bus going along. What is it, Bolivia, where you're on top of a bus over the?
I know it was.
Mountain.
It wasn't Bolivia. It was Ecuador. It wasn't a bus. It was a train.
Oh, brilliant! Even better.
It was a train. They had to stop it. They had to stop it. I'm not going to tell you why they had to stop it, but they couldn't do it anymore.
Oh my god!
Because it was a little bit dangerous, and some
no
people had
shit.
into a little bit of mischief. Oh, we have another super chat before we go.
Oh my god!
We're trying to wrap up here. We're trying to wrap up.
You're gonna get me peeing myself on camera if you're not here. No. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Watch out for the seagulls in Brighton, the worst, biggest and scariest in the country. I don't doubt it. I have been to Clacton though, and they're a bit more chilled there. Seagulls in Australia are nice in my experience.
They give you a firm handshake.
Like, they're all right, mate. They just chill
G'day,
out.
mate.
They just fly past you. Like,
I read a story on the BBC website, and it was about snakes and spiders in Australia. And this is the funniest thing I think ever. In Australia, the nickname for snakes, because they give everything a nickname, the nickname for snakes is Danger Noodles.
Danger.
Oh, mate, I got a danger noodle in the basement. Ah, bloody hell, mate. A danger noodle. Quick.
Danger noodle. There was like in Melbourne, there was spiders that could cause necrosis, right?
Yeah.
The whitetail, right?
Yeah,
I had one. We used to get them in I was in like a basement. It had like an outside patio, but it was like a lower level part of the house, so it was like exposed to the elements. But after I'd been there for like 9 months, I would just go. What I do here: get a glass, get a thing, chuck it out. Job done. Like, I just wouldn't even think about it. But we did have one in the toilet. It was coming up out the toilet. But they were quite little though. The smaller the spider in Australia, the more chance it's going to kill you. Whereas the big scary huntsman lads, they're like apologetically massive. They flounce away. They're like, oh god, sorry.
They're like brown tarantulas. Those motherfuckers.
There was one on a screen door, because you have the screen and you've got the door to keep the bad things out. As I was pissed, I was going back up into the main house to get a glass of wine, and it was fucking there, like face to face with it. And I let out a scream that sounded just like Flanders. Scream. And my boyfriend at the time's dad came running out and thought I was being murdered because I screamed. It was involuntary. It just kind of came out of me, Anyway, next time we'll talk more about spiders. But thank you for joining us tonight, and thank you to Graham. Remember to check out Politics Social.
Yes,
and
please
until
do.
Next time, thank you and good night.
Good night.